Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're actually going to start tearing apart this 46 Chevy truck. We're kind of going to do a lot of the basics, but we'll kind of show you how to start taking it apart, best way to go about doing that. A couple key points on things to do with hardware, stuff like that, separate tools. But basically, pretty much any vehicle this year, truck, automotive, they're all pretty much assembled the same, okay? So you kind of follow this general format and you'll be good, okay? So let's get started taking it apart. Like I said, we'll go over some key points, things you're gonna wanna do, make life easier further down the road in the project. So thanks for tuning in, let's get going. So particularly, with this 46, what the customer's looking for is he wants to turn a rat rod, which is, trust me, this one put together as a rat rod, into a show truck. So kind of what we're gonna highlight in this whole series, goal points, like setting small goals, try to achieve over the weekend or at night, kind of thing like that, or just for me throughout the week. But basically, we're gonna tear this thing down, categorize everything, analyze every part, what's gotta get repaired, replaced, reconditioned, so to say. So basically, goal sets. There's not even small goals, we'll go over periods, like sections of the build. Your main sections are first tear down, categorize everything, okay? Analyze all the parts. Second phase, you start getting into your product rebuilds, start stripping paint. Small goals would be starting with the fenders, After the thing's all apart, let's get the fenders stripped down, analyze them, see what condition they're in, judge it if it's a replace or repair. Whatever saves the customer more money is my focus. So I like making money, but honestly, if we can save the customer some money, get this back to them in a reasonable amount of time, being into this one is kind of a budget job. So, but that's my focus, okay? But from there, we just go through all the parts, which you'll go through with me in this whole series. And we'll go over key points to look for, how to fix stuff. But basically from there, once it's in bare metal, everything gets epoxied. And then we're gonna get the metal roughed out the best way we can, as much as we possibly can before epoxy. Then after it's epoxied, we'll block the whole thing down, find our highs and lows. Then we can start building up, straightening the body. So if we can do a little more hammer and dolly at that point, great. If it needs filler, okay, we already know that. So from there, we'll continue with that, but it's basically poly sand, which are one of our couple shorts on product. In this phase of the industry, not so much collision, poly primer is a necessity. Layman's terms in this industry is liquid bondo. It helps hide your highs and lows. I mean, it reveals your highs and lows, kind of self-levels a little bit, so some of your lows might be blocked right out. But this truck will get mocked up and taken down a couple times just to make sure everything fits right, okay? But yeah, just poly prime, 2K prime. We'll go through all the sanding, the grits we want to use, and then comes to paint and putting it back together. So there's going to be breakdown goals in each one of those phases. But we'll go through the whole thing, and it's going to be fun. So tune in. So in front of this truck, kind of the main focus on this whole front end is this grill, okay? So we can straighten this thing out, recondition it, chrome it, but I will guarantee you the hours for me to do that. You can get a new reproduction metal one. They're out there. The cost of that's going to be less than me sitting there and straightening out every single runner in the grill, okay? But basically, we're going to take this thing apart. We're going to start with the grill because this kind of helps hold everything together, all right? And then everywhere there's a joint panel, you pretty much are guaranteed there's going to be some nuts and bolts. So just to start off, pre ahead of time, I took some PB Blaster. Hold on. Ta-da! This stuff is amazing, okay? If you know you're gonna start on something earlier that day, the night before, spray some of it. So spray everywhere there's gonna be a bolt. Okay, these ones I don't think we're gonna have a problem because I can kind of tell they're already taken off and on before, but not quite sure about these ones. So we hit them with some PB Blaster, it penetrates, kind of breaks that rust bond. Okay, and they become way easier to get off. Let's put it that way. So make that your friend, especially on an old vehicle. You got something that, well, this is darn near 80 years old. So trust me, it's rusted. Okay, so make this your friend. So basically, here's a key point on these grills, and this is what GM used a lot. Ford used them a little bit, if I do remember, but GM really put these bolts to use. I don't know if you can see the style of the head of that bolt. Takes a special keyway insert, so to say, tip, to get those off. I used to have that tip, and I can't find it. So what I'm going to show you is, if you can't get that tip, and they are hard to find, I'll show you an easy way to get those off with stuff you have laying around, hopefully. Next, we're going to set these, after the grill, we're going to get these hood tops and sides off, okay? We're going to set those to the side, and then we're going to start functioning on the fender and how they mount. So besides being mounted to the cab back in here, they do have, they are well, they're usually mounted right here to the core support. Apparently, the builder of this didn't feel that was necessary. But we are going to take the header plate off. That kind of helps hold everything together. That's actually coming off before the grill, which actually I just realized we're going to start with the hood and hood sides first. Then we'll go to the grill. That'll make life easier. But kind of when you get in there, just start looking around and analyze. If you have underlap and overlap panels, start with the overlap panel first. It's going to make the underlying panels way easier. Okay? So, but with this one, this truck in particularly, he does have a leaky, drippy 350 Chevy in it. So you can see it's been splattering oil, fluids all over the place. But the customer is not super concerned about the engine compartment. He does want me to fix the oil leaks and everything, so not my favorite, but we're gonna probably pull this motor and reseal the whole thing anyways for him. But he kind of wants to leave the engine compartment beige, kind of tan, and that's fine, because I think I'm trying to talk him into a root beer pearl. So we'll see how that goes. But basically, yeah, we'll start with those hood sides and tops. We'll go from there. After that, we're gonna wanna take the running boards off with the grill, the running boards, because they help hold the fenders in place. Then the fenders come off, and we'll just keep working our way back. Once the running boards are off, the only thing that holds these fenders on are the bolts to the inside of the bed, okay? So that should come off fairly easy. But we are gonna get this thing, first thing, actually, let's back up. First thing we're gonna do is get this thing up in the air and on some jack stands so we can get underneath it, okay? And then, I don't know if you noticed, but hopefully Mike's focusing in on it. This bed is actually from a 52, which takes that style fender, hanging up on my wall of shame. So, as you can see, they don't really line up with the 46 fenders. So, we're gonna be, what do you wanna say? Producing fenders or bed sides that'll work with these fenders, okay? Buying a whole new bed would be great, but it is definitely not in the budget for this job. So, I think what we're gonna end up doing, we're cutting these off right below the main structure point over the top of your bed. And then we're just gonna replace the metal with nice heavy gauge. Okay, there will be no reason to bend it on a break. So, and then I can mold it into what we have going on already. So, and then just drill the holes for our fenders where we want them put. Basically, that's about it. A lot of things you want to do, you want to think about the game plan point of it, is with that game plan, you want to be able to, the things coming up, you want to be able to address them sometimes before you take the truck or vehicle apart, okay? Here's a for instance. On the bed sides, okay, right here, because we have a 52 bed, and I do believe, I'm not quite sure yet, but these running boards are either the 56, the 46 or the 52s. But do you see what we have going on here between the bed and the running board? This is supposed to bolt up to the bottom of this. Clearly is not. So we have some misalignment there. This bed is also longer than the 46, so that's kind of thrown us off a little bit. But before, running boards are easy to take on and off. I'm going to wait after I do the bed sides, and I'm gonna just remount the fenders in place where they are permanently. Then I can make these pieces. But if this was a stock vehicle and they required, or not even just stock, but say you just want to custom make a panel to go from here to here. Before you take it apart, make a template at least for that panel, or make the panel itself, okay? Otherwise, you gotta go through a whole bunch of reconstruction, putting it all back together just to make those panels. So it might be a good idea just to make them ahead of time, okay? Then you know they're it. So before tearing it all apart, get that game plan going in your head, look and see what's going on. If you have to make parts for it, make it. And fitting it up, if you try and do it after it's primed or something like that, prior to fitting them up, you could scratch the primer, all kinds of stuff like that. So get your game plan, get stuff in your head, things you want to do, write them down, okay? I got a note thing in the back of the cab saying, these are things I want to address, okay? But make a game plan, biggest thing, make a game plan, address things maybe that you can get to now instead of having to make more work for yourself later, okay? But basically we know we got a whole lot of issues with this bed, but I do want to get the new bed sides on and these in place where exactly they're going to be prior to making those panels, okay? And I'll be honest with you, if we find we can get different running boards and they might line up better with that bed, the lower bed mount, so to say, like I said, we're gonna teeter-totter that cost and adjust from there. But yeah, if we can find the correct running boards and maybe they fill that already, or we can adapt another running board to it, that might be a good idea. So I'll be checking into that. But basically we got a whole lot of straightening out to do. We know that. That'll come later. Tailgate. While we're on it. It's a little bowed, okay? Besides being rotty and rusty, you can see where it's been pushed out and the separation is happening. We can make a tailgate, all right? I can show you how to do that with stuff you got laying around, or not laying around, but stuff to just go purchase. Upper, lower tubes, heavy plate steel. We can cut this section off, kind of straighten it out and weld it back on. Flat stock, we can roll and put it in place, weld in place. But if we could look at a tailgate and it's $400, how much is $400 worth your time? For the customer, that might save them a lot of money just to buy one. So, but this one we know definitely needs some help. It's pretty bad shape. So, but something kind of cool I noticed. We definitely know this is an old chain, possibly original-ish, because look at the age in this thing. Look at how rusty and beat up bouncing against the edge of this tailgate has made this chain. I just think it's kind of cool looking. I think Mike does too. So I love old cars, old trucks. I just love, you could just see the history in it and the age in it. So stuff like that's kind of cool. But I just thought I'd point that out because Mike and I noticed that earlier. But yeah, basically that's it. Doors. These vehicles, the exterior hinge, these doors are super easy to take off, okay? And hopefully we can get into that today, I'm hoping. If not, we'll tape it tomorrow. We'll feed it all into the video, but basically, yeah, we're just gonna start tearing this thing down today and take you along for the ride. Okay. So, on normal vehicles you're taking apart, and why I say normal, because we just did a little pre-look, of course got our tools ready. Get yourself a bag or box of Ziplocs, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, don't spend a ton of money. But like say, if I wasn't throwing away these bolts that are holding this thing on, that's our your basic hardware store sheet metal screws. Write down hood, brace, mount, whatever. Boop. Fenders, left fender, right fender. Okay? And save them. Makes life easier later on. Okay? So basically what I'm going to do is start taking this hood off. Get yourself a piece of wood. Okay? Because I'm going to show you exactly what you don't want to do. First of all, this little rubber popper on the end of there, that's meant to prop your hood up. Well, obviously I can't get really very well inside any of those bolts. Don't find yourself wanting to do that. Okay? First of all, you see it bend, bowing and flexing, but what you're doing is you're putting a lot of strain up on this pivot sleeve, basically for the hinge. So just try and stay away from doing something like that. If you really don't care, or you are making a rat rod, have at it. But basically, find yourself a piece of wood. I like mine a little longer. Who doesn't? But prop it up under there. It's that easy, okay? So let's start taking this thing apart, get the hoods off. Since, like I said, I don't think in 46 they were put together with these. We're gonna throw those away. Oh, and you can do this by hand. You can do these by hand, or when you're taking it apart, get a little zip gun, cordless impact, so to say. When you're putting it back together, yes, please, we'll go over that later, but do that by hand. When you're taking it apart, you just want to get stuff apart. So get a little zip gun. This one happens to be in Milwaukee, but there's other stores out there that have them for very reasonable. Let's see, where are we? Thanks, man. Oh, that one is correct, because they have a placement nut. Oh. Yeah. I was in a hurry, so I didn't PB blast that one. Thank God it broke. Oh! Yeah, we just buckled it. Oh, goodness. All right. Yeah, we just tore the... That's a 80-year-old screw. So,
work it.
Couple ways to do that. We'll show you. Get a bigger... This is the standard screwdriver we used. You can move up a size, so it extends past the head, and you will hopefully get that. But... try breaker screwdriver. Oh, that one's gonna be a bear.
Try to go the other way. I like to work it once it
Oh,
my
yeah.
point.
Good thinking.
And then back and forth. There's a little bit.
A little farther. All right, and where's my best friend?
Yeah.
Let's get this under. Oh, and some guys out there, or some women, or some people in this industry are like, oh, he's getting all the parts he wants to paint in the future full of lubricant. I am, but that's what they make pre-clean for. So we're gonna make sure before we start stripping these parts that we wipe them all down, okay? So get yourself a can of that too when you're taking it apart.
Let's take turns.
Oh, guess what?
Uh-oh.
Guess what? There's supposed to be a placement nut under this, but being 80 years old, pretty much guarantee it rusted off at some point.
Sad bolt.
So yeah, somebody went under. This is where you need a friend. So somebody went under the nut. They drilled the hole straight through, drilled out the placement nut, and they ran a nut on the end of that screw. So let's check the other one while we're here and see if they did or didn't do the same on the other side. All right, so let's get this side down. So we're gonna try this side out. Mike, you wanna hold it up real quick for me? And honestly, that PBS blaster, or PP blaster, I mean, PBS.
PBS Kids Blaster.
Yes, your public television blaster. Public broadcasting. It's probably already started penetrating this side while we're goofing around with that side. So hopefully this one comes off way easier. I'm just gonna use the biggest one I got right off the bat. And spinning like a dime. Okay, so we got nuts underneath each one of those. So we're gonna prop this up a little better, or they're so loose I can do it with one hand. We'll get Mike on the inside with a socket, see if he can get up underneath there, or I'll do it and Mike can do this. We're gonna flip a coin. The other thing I forgot to mention, your other best friend when taking apart old cars, vehicles, whatever, flashlight. This happens to be a head mount, but I like to prop it up to find a good flashlight. Let's try that.
Yeah.
All right. Mike pointed out something that's very easy that I forgot. Love learn something every day. Remember that? I'm learning today. So today's a good day. I jammed my knife underneath the edge of the mount. So hopefully,
Hold this for a second.
so if you are by yourself, or you don't have, if you're by yourself, or you feel that maybe the factory, they call them not weld nuts, but basically placement nuts underneath that are welded to the cowl brace panel. If that spins, well, and you are by yourself, you're kind of screwed. So what we did, and Mike just reminded me of this, grab my knife, pried it up to put pressure from the panel to the threads of the screw. So a lot of times that works just to back a screw out and make sure you constantly keep pressure on it. But I have a feeling they put a nut under there.
Doesn't look like this.
So,
That's a shame.
and if you have an awesome daughter like mine, she'll buy you a knife and put your name on it. So, thanks, Catherine. Okay,
That sucks.
it does suck. Let me get under there and see what we got. Yeah, they are placement nuts. The regular nuts busted loose.
That sucks.
No, this is good. It's all right.
Oh, you can reach it.
Price strips and all of that. We're good. What is nice about these older vehicles, when they do have a blind, just say a blind nut usually, what it is they always made a square nut and it was tack set, welded into the brace panel that the bracket is bolted to. So they're square, which makes it really easy to get a vice grips up under there, okay? Clamp onto that square nut and then you're home free. So as long as you can, if you're by yourself, you can maybe wedge that against something underneath the dash that you're not gonna hurt. But luckily I got Mike here, so the two of us are gonna get on this thing. I'm gonna throw this under the dash on those things, and we're gonna go to town. Have a soda. Maybe an ice cream. Pie. I like eating pie. Pie is good. I like pie. Mike, please do me a favor, cut that out. Okay. Cool. So basically, there's that set nut. Like I was saying before, it's perfectly square. So the other one, we actually have a vice grip on it already. So I'm going to go ahead and hold it while Mike conveniently takes that screw out. Okay.
All right, ready?
Alright, when you do the other one, leave the... Okay, alright. Here are those set nuts from underneath the cowl on the inside. These usually are tacked on in place, okay? You can kind of see where that one is slightly. And same as this one. But they let loose after 80 years. Gotta expect that, okay? But basically a little note too, when you do get a vice grips, okay, and you wanna clamp onto it underneath, by yourself or not, don't think you gotta just, put all into it, because these things are pretty thin, and being 80 years old, you will put more pressure on the bolt than you really want to. So just do a nice loose clamp on it, okay? So another little note is we left one of the screws in there, especially by yourself. Take the nut off the bottom or whatever, but leave something in there to kind of hold it steady for a minute, because I have one more bolt up in the cross rail, the radiator support. And if I'm trying to do that by myself, hold those up like that and try and get it off in one piece. If that one's off, this whole thing could slide right off top of this fender, either make more damage, screw your hoods up, your hood sides or your hood top up. But just, yeah, I always leave one in place just to help out, okay? So we'll get that last bolt off. And we should be able to just pick these right up. Oh, it's the other side. Actually, we're gonna put this down so it's more stable. Alright, we're gonna hold that in place while we're taking off. So these aren't the original bolts. They should have been flathead screws, just like this. This should be original, but the set nuts underneath are still in place and they're holding pretty good. So that's a good thing. So we're just gonna hang on to these and get some more at the hardware store. So those we are gonna put in the Ziploc bag, but pretty much we are ready. Lift these up. Is it not coming out? Or we can just take it out like a pin. All right, we're gonna set these out of the way. So next, we're gonna go ahead and take this header plate off. Like I said, we're not saving the screws for these. They're just sheet metal screws. So I am not gonna throw it because I don't want to step on it later. All right. Then the next step naturally after that, I do believe the grill. Oh, look, if I can see from underneath, the bottom of the grill is held on with
It's also got some
self-tapping sheet metal screws.
Yeah, good feeling.
So that's nice. So tell you what, let's get this thing in the air. Now that the hoods are off, let's get this thing in the air. We can get underneath it, access all the bolts we need to access from underneath, except for the rear cab, which I do believe we have to do from the inside, removing the foot kickboard. So, but yeah, let's get this thing in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe that fan shroud is actually upside down.
It is. Why would they do that? What?
Because it gets flipped around and actually that coverage that's down there, not covering anything,
Yeah.
fills this gap.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. What the hell? That's ridiculous.
That's, you know, whatever, we already did it kind of moment. But I'll tell you this, I bet it works just fine
Oh.
regardless, because
Yeah.
mine doesn't even have a shroud on that skyline. It does just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely upside down. I see that on my foot. So here's some of those points that you really know how to jack a car up. I know, everybody knows how to jack a car up, and that's great. Basically what I want to do is look for your main support. This one happens to have a Mustang 2 style front end welded in place, seems like it. So we should have a nice heavy cross member, K member, however you'd like to refer to it. But sometimes jack stand placement is huge, okay? Like for instance, we'll get to it in a minute. I know I'm pulling that rear axle out, okay? So I'm gonna put the jack stands in front of the axle on the frame. I'm not gonna put them under the axle or behind the axle, because basically with leaf spring suspension, get the brake lines disconnected. You basically just gotta pull those rear leaf spring mounts out, lower it down to the jack, of course, but keep the jack under the axle when you're doing it. You thought I was gonna say a bad word. But yeah, I'll show you that later on. But jack placement and jack stand placement is huge on a project. I hate going back and having to do something over again because I wasn't thinking. So I'm gonna try and save you that problem. Oh, the other thing too is a lot of these older vehicles, stuff that's been redone, usually they're lower to the ground. Okay, guys like the look. I like the look. Jacks, talking about jacks for just a second. This is your, basically your low profile, long reach. And you can get this, I'm gonna say the name, Harbor Freight. Okay, it's a Daytona. These things are low and they reach long. I love this thing. So it's not that expensive. I think it's mid hundreds, 159, something like that. I'm not quite sure. Check that for yourself for your local Harbor Freight. But yeah, you might benefit from getting one of these just because even if you don't, when you started working on it, it may be stock position. When you're done working on it, you're probably gonna throw this thing on the ground, okay? And I don't mean throw it on the ground, but you're gonna lower it down. So you're gonna want one of these anyways. So save up a couple pennies, pick one up, you'll like it. But basically we're gonna go into there from the height, a little bit higher point. Oh, the other thing too, these do come with rubber pads, but they get wore out, okay? And then you're working with bare metal to bare metal. I just got some, actually I think my mom got these from one of her nurse friends, these are hospital towels. Even if it's just, like I said, some of the cheap towels we were talking about in the other video, get a pack of them, put them down. You think, oh, I'm never gonna see the bottom of my K member, cross member. You still don't want to scratch the paint off, make it start rusting. I know, I just got some OCD, but I like to put a towel down or a rag, or actually for a long time I used an old buffing pad, so. Okay, let's see where we're at. Oh, we're not even coming close to reaching that. Awesome.
That's not great.
Awesome. Okay, so we do have the radiator support cross member right here. That's not bad, but I'm gonna go off the frame side by side. Okay, and even though I do have the low profile long reach, which I just posted, this thing is so low, I can't get to that K member, okay, the cross member. So I'm gonna go on each end of the frame horn, okay? We shouldn't be taking apart this front end I don't believe it seemed pretty solid, pretty tight. But I do believe we're going to be pulling that motor up. So you want to put your jack stands where they're not going to interfere with your cherry picker. Okay, so once we get this, and I'm going to see how high I can get it, but once I get this side in the air, we'll evaluate at that point. But if you don't want to interfere with your cherry picker, you're going to want those behind the wheel too, okay? So I'm going to get a block. I don't want it hitting the front and bottom of this fender and balance panel. So we're going to change out that towel for a block, which hopefully also won't hit the metal. All right, I'm going to go right off the end of that frame. Sounds like my Mustang. All right, get our some handy dandy jack stands. Real quick note on jack stands too. These just happen to come from Harbor Freight also. Nice adjustable, your standard 3-ton. Okay, I like these because they happen to have a little, like a lock peg. So once you do find it the height you want, you can reassure yourself it's not going to fall down. Because if you've got an older jack stand, the little tooth that's in there that holds these start getting rounded off, okay? But if you've got that set pin, you're pretty much assured it's not going to fall down on there when you're underneath it. So I like that assurance. But let's get this in place behind the wheel. It doesn't have adjustable. Anyways, okay. We'll figure that one out later. So, always bring it down slow. Okay. Stop and evaluate that we're lining up right or correctly. All right. That looks good. All right. Go over and do the other side. All right, there's me being an idiot. Okay. Get this oily cardboard out of the way, just so we can actually do what we need to do. I was just trying to save my floor from getting nasty, but that's okay. All right, the easiest way to tell that you're even on both sides is count the teeth. Or count the teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I forgot to do that on the other side, but I will reach it from here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Here we go. All right, put our block on because I just don't like the idea of this thing falling on my head or Mike's head or anybody's head. And remember, just bring it down slow. All right, now let's go around the back. And honestly, you can just go right off the bottom of the pumpkin on the rear end. But we are going to put that towel back in place. Save even the 2x4 actually. Because even though the rear end is leaking and we are taking it out, I don't want nothing burning and wrecking it. Plus, if it was like a 10 bolt, your drain for your rear end is directly on the bottom, which makes it incredibly a big pain in the butt to jack it up on the pumpkin. So, if I can, there's a little bit of cushion there, but I can place that 2x4 a little more precise on the rear end, with a rag off, of course. So, okay, so let's get this thing a little higher. All right. Not only does it give us plenty of clearance to get underneath it, because we are going to have to be underneath this thing a little bit. It's level. It looks nice. So, call me crazy. That's fine. I am. Like we were saying before, I am going to pull the rear end out of this thing eventually. So let's bunker it in. There's not a ton of weight back here, especially when the bed's off. So I think we can find a good spot in front of the leaf mount. Okay, so let me go in and take a peek. Oh, this is a rat rod, all right. Cow.
It's crazy how much bigger this truck looks when it's picked up like that. It looks massive now.
Does it?
Yeah.
Here's where our friend comes in handy. Since I got the jack stands farther up towards the middle of the vehicle, from back here, I'm not gonna be able to see very easy how they're coming down. But key point, make sure your levels, your jacks or stands are at the same level. Try and make sure they're at the same point along the frame, okay? It's just better that way. But Mike's gonna lower it down slow. I'll make sure the alignment's good. So.
There's a shredder belt here. There's bags on this?
No way. There might have been air. There might have been air shots. No. Oh, these are air shocks.
Yeah. I wonder if they got fronts.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if they work.
That's crazy. All right, bring it down slow. Hold on, I'm gonna move this one a little bit. I want to make sure I'm not on a press rivet either, which I think I am on the other side. All right, cool. You don't want, also you don't, when you do it on, you're going to take a vehicle apart and you're putting jack stands on a frame, try and make sure you're not super close to any bolts. Because I just happen to stay, I want to stay away from the bolt on the frame that runs through the bottom and the top and holds this bed on. So I'm going to move my jack stands a little bit so we're in a good spot and we should be all right.
I just noticed that there's wood blocks holding the bed up to the frame.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
Not 1 inch. He's got two 1-inch.
Yeah.
He's got two 1-inch blocks, which end up being 3/4, and one looks like shaved down 2x4.
I think there's 4 between us. I'm not even sure if the other one's bolted in.
Nice. Nice. All right, go ahead. Start bringing it down. Go ahead.
Here is a lot more wiggle than mine does.
Go ahead.
It's down.
All right. Oh, let me check the other one. All right, that looks great. Nice and stable. Good. Yep. Now the redneck way to to make sure you're nice and stable, besides checking each jack and each placement, is you take the vehicle and give it a wiggle. If it falls off, you're not stable. All right, it is a little crooked, not bad, somewhat straight. But yeah, Mike and I just found out there's air shocks on this thing. I didn't even pay attention. This thing came in, I parked it. So
It's still on the ground.
well, yeah, the axle is still on the ground. So yeah, air shocks are funny because what he has on there, honestly, I think they're 16 or 14s. So when they compress, you're probably looking at a 12-inch or 10-inch impact. He's got, yeah, I gotta get another and show you, it's funny. But yeah, the problem is, if you have a 12-inch shock, especially air shocks, that expands probably 20 inches. So we're back to the axle sitting on the ground. So that's fun. But yeah, we'll figure that one out, not a big deal. All right, so let's kind of curious. Get under here with that light. Oh, good. All right, they're all exposed here. 2 out of the 3 bolts that hold the back of this fender on are inside the cab. The nuts are, and I'll guarantee you they're probably not secured place nuts. They probably, in the years of rust or just agitation, they probably just want 2 nuts and bolts. So yeah, it looks pretty basic. We should be able to get these fenders off pretty quick, no problem. And actually, it looks like the gentleman who assembled this rat rod did use some newer hardware, which is nice.
It's solid.
It is solid. Okay. At this point, we're gonna get the front diesel.
Oh, Nick.
Does that sound like
This is loud like that.
Is it? Okay. We're gonna get the front tires and wheels off. Okay. So I like to get in there a little better. Nothing's in the way. I can see everything. I can already see there's a couple little braces made and put in, which are really easy. But yeah, I just want to make sure I have a full view of everything and I can attack each fender easily, one by one. So let's get these wheels and tires off. All right, hubcaps just pull straight off. Make sure you hang on to them, otherwise they will hit the ground and you don't want to buy new ones. All right, and being GM, that's, I don't know if that front's GM or not. I'm still trying to figure out what that is. But those do not look like 3/4. We're gonna go to the handy dandy socket tray. And like always, 3/4. So I do have the 3/8 adapter for my handy dandy Milwaukee. Right now it's time for you guys to make bets, okay? I've never had these off, I swear, I promise. We're gonna see if this little, obviously somebody had them off at some point. Let's see if this Milwaukee, I think this is a 12 volt.
Should be
M12. Let's see if it attacks these. This thing's surprisingly good, I'll tell you. You might be surprised, but now it's time for you guys to make bets amongst yourselves, see if it comes up. That one's a no. That one's a no. All right, we pretty much guarantee they used an air impact. You can hear, oh, I forgot. Mike's got this, I think you could say this. Can you say it on TV? Badass.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Mike's got this badass cordless impact he keeps bragging about, so we're gonna check that out.
It's old. it biggest dickest.
All right. So not only is this thing, well, Snap-on. Feel free to buy one. I'm not putting anybody down. Snap-on's great.
Anyway, wants to pay $2,400 to buy one.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, now we found the reason out why it's badass. I hope you heard that. But damn, I missed a workout.
Yep.
So instead of taking rims, or along with taking rims off, you can do some curls, you know, build your muscles up.
It breaks lug studs. So make sure it's unloosened.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this puts that M12 to shame. Absolute shame. It's probably over there crying right now. All right.
That looks like a very light wheel.
It is. What, do I look weak? Nice.
It may look easy.
All right. Just a little tidbit. You guys do what you want to do. I like putting the lug nuts back on the lug, and I'm not looking for them later. And there's no reason you can't unless you're working on the front end. But still, obviously, they should come off with the caliper if you have a set caliper. Lugs in it. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out this front end. It resembles Mustang 2, but Mustang 2 does not have this rear stabilizer link.
Oh, they cut the frames for that.
Yeah, they carved out. I do not care for that at all.
They did it with a plasma cutter.
Yeah,
Or
or torch. I'm thinking torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably didn't have a plasma cutter. When you're taking apart something somebody else did, or even a factory back in that day, it's kind of fun to admire with today's technology, things that were done back then and how they did them. Or if you just find somebody that has a cheaper shop, you know, how they just went in with a torch and cut out sections of the frame so that they can fit the steering rack. That's always smart to do. So yeah, let's weaken our frame. Oh, they did panel it, so they did put the strength back in. All right, how they booger welded to a torch cut. All right, anyways, let's get the rest of these off. The rears, honestly, I'm gonna leave them on for a little bit. But we'll get the front ones off and we'll get this front end off really easy. It doesn't even sound like it works. Like it's working hard. It's like, oh, buh, there's some lugs. Buh. While that 12 was over there screaming. Oh. Everywhere else on this floor goes that way. You hear? It goes that way. Oh, I think I found an even spot. Okay. Look how tiny these rotors are.
Yeah, I was thinking S10.
I'm thinking you're right. I think those are S10. Yeah, at least they stayed in the Chevy line. Yeah, I think that is S10. I think you were right, Mike. That's exactly what this is. Yeah, because that looks like a GM upper control arm mount. Yeah, that's GM. Definitely, I think S10 is exactly what it is. All right, we're gonna put this to the side for a minute. All right, I'm gonna take a peek inside because remember, like I said, we have 2 bolts. The upper 2 bolts for the inside of this fender to the cowl cab go into the cab. And the only way to access those is move the kick pad. See how easy that is. Nice. All right.
Alright, you good.
All right. Luckily, the kick panel they put in with 4 screws along the side. outside edge by the door frame. So just gonna zip those off real quick.
For screws. I have taken lugs off with it. I have, I swear. Lug nuts.
Oh, and like always, I miscounted 5 screws. All right. All right, so we have some inexpensive bead line or bead.
Rubber seal.
Yep. And there they are. Oh, that one is still weld nut, so to say. This one is, yeah, they converted this one over to nut and bolt. So not too bad. Should be pretty easy to get to. I am going to Ziploc bag these screws because they actually have the little interior washer on them. And these are pretty much self-explanatory. You don't really have to mark those. And I'll guarantee you, no. Yeah, these only go on one way. I thought they were universal. But yeah, that stuff's a no-brainer, so no reason to mark that. All right, we got our kick panel screw bag. Screw bag, because that sounds like something you use.
Nice insult.
It's a nice insult. I get screw bag. So feel free to use that. I won't mind. You screw bag. I like that. I might call somebody that maybe on the way home. Okay. Here's another common thing you're going to run into, especially on an 80-year-old vehicle. You just love playing with that throttle thing, figuring it out, don't you?
You know what? It's got full action.
It has full action on that much
full action.
movement? Oh my God, that's awesome.
Is this? It looks like a 4-barrel. It's very surprisingly. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that is a 4-barrel. All right, something Mike was noticing before, because there's so much pad and carpet under here, there was very limited travel with the throttle, okay?
Will you hit that all the way down?
So he's,
I mean, it's just like a hair, but if your
Wow.
foot's on it, I bet you have all of it.
so you only have about this much travel on the fuel pedal itself. But apparently it has full action, darn near close to full action on the carburetor, open. So that's cool.
That really surprised me.
It is surprising. Maybe they throw cantilever in somewhere in there. Okay, here's that thing about 80-year-old vehicles, 60-year-old vehicles, 40-year-old vehicles for that matter. Everywhere where the factory, which these are factory, put screws, because they may have been taken in and out a couple times in the process of the life of this vehicle, you're gonna find the holes get really big. And some people don't care. So they stuck a number, well, it looks like a number 10 in a fairly rotted out hole. So if you come across that, it just spins. Simply just change the angle. If you're doing it by hand or with a zip gun, change the angle so you're running the threads of the screw against just one edge of the metal and they'll back right out, okay? So don't freak out about it. When I was younger, I'd be like, ugh. Or, like before, get out the handy dandy knife and just create pressure from the back side forward on those screws and walk it out. That's it. So I'm actually gonna, there we go, and put this knife away because I sharpen it and it is crazy sharp. Okay. Oh, they squeezed that in the floor. All right. I do like to take stuff like this and keep it up out of the way, okay? Because this piece we actually might reuse. It's pretty decent. We can tell it's aftermarket. It's put in afterwards. we're gonna be plucking this up anyways and eventually putting this into a large Ziploc bag. But for right now, I got it out of the way, because if it hangs here and gets slammed into the door, I might have to just buy a new one. And I don't wanna do that. So, all right, let's make full access to those bolts. See what's on this side. Oh my gosh. Both place nuts, weld nuts are in place. That is awesome. Wouldn't have expected it. So, okay, so Mike's only got to hold one nut. That sounds bad. Okay. All right, so we got ready in the back. We got the kick panels off. Those exposed. Luckily, a lot of those weld nuts are in place, just one is not. But the upper brace looks like, oh, there's a screw missing. Love that. Anyway, next step's taking that grill off, because if we get all the bolts for the fender loose, the grill's still hanging on. So we previously talked about the special insert, so to say, or tool used for this, which I looked again, I can't find it. Don't know where it is. So I think I mentioned finding a proper sized standard head. Now you can use your basic screwdriver if you got one small enough, but you want to fit one into that opening for that special bit. You want it to pretty much cover as close as you can, the height or the capacity of that opening with the standard bit, okay? So kind of get it in there, and you want to do this by hand. You don't want to use a zip gun, because you slip off, you're going to break your bit for the zip gun or something. But we did previously hit these with PB blasters, so we're hoping it. There we go. Bust loose a little bit, okay? Nice. All right. And then just to show you again, the small, you want to zoom in, or
I did it earlier, but yeah,
just show that, yeah. All right, because I don't have that special bit we zoomed in on earlier, like I said, the standard bit, you want it to be really as close as you possibly can to the opening, you know, width, so to say, so that when you press it over, it's not loose, it's not going to spin. You know, you can't use one too small, or you'll just chip your bit apart. But yeah, you kind of want to be right in there to wedge against that. So if you can't find one of these bits, this works great. So we're going to bag these up, so we don't want to lose these, and I am going to look for more. Is that how, honestly, how this is supposed to be all together? I like to keep a little bit of originality.